Hello wonderful people, it's Ochi Dev here once again, and I am back with a big banger tutorial for you guys. My weekly video tutorial has delayed because I've been working on some projects which are taking much of my time. I'm very sorry and I apologize for that. So in this tutorial, I'm going to build a Google Contact API clone. So if you don't know what Google Contact is, this is Google Contacts. So we are going to build the back end with Django, and in a later video we are going to build the front end using Vue.js and Vuetify UI framework. So you are going to get something like this. So in the meantime, we are going to start with the back end, where we are going to build the Google Contact API clone. So let's jump into VS Code and preview how our end goal or our end project, how it's going to look like. Okay, so this is Visual Studio Code. So usually when you have REST APIs, you want to use something like Postman to test it, but in my case I find this useful extension here called Thunder Client, which I think is the perfect alternative for the Postman application if you don't want to install any other applications on your computer. Then the Thunder Client extension is the perfect one for you to use. Okay, so we are going to test my API. So I've gone ahead of myself as usual because I'm the most wonderful developer on the internet. So I did some groundwork for you so that we don't have to waste much time previewing this application. So these are it's a collection of requests. So each request, so this one is going to get all the contacts for a particular user. The second one is going to create a contact. The third one is going to create a contact which is going to fill. I just want to show you the enforcement that has been placed at the back end. And this one, the fourth one here, is going to update the contact. This one here is going to delete the contact, and this one here, the last request, is going to search through the user's contact list. Okay, so first let's start with the getting of all the contacts. So this is the API, this is the route, and you can see the auth has been selected and it's using the basic auth for the meantime. And I have I'm using the email, so you just pass it here. Just ignore this thing, the username here. It's using the email authentication process. So I pass my email here and I pass the password also here. Then I think that's all. In this project, you are not going to delve much into the authentication part because I have a video coming up that is going to focus on authentication of a REST framework application using a package that I usually like to use, the Json package. Okay, so don't worry about the authentication aspect. You are just going to focus on the business logic of the application for the meantime. All right, so I'm going to send a request. So without this basic authentication, you are going to get an error. So let me just choose none for the meantime. Then let's send a request. A few seconds. So you can see authentication credentials were not provided. So let's go to basic auth. So you are using the authentication now. And let's send another request. Few seconds. Okay, so you can see now my request is back. Then I have contacts that are specifically for me, the user. So these are my contacts. So I can't get access to any other person's contact. That is what Google Contact is about, so that you can back up your contact to the cloud safely without anyone having access to pry on them. Okay, so this is the first endpoint. So we are going to go to the next endpoint that is going to create the contact. So it is to the same endpoint that we get all the contacts, but in this case we are using the post. We are using the post method. So let's check the body. So the body requires that a user, when a user is storing a contact to the back end, it should have a country code, a first name, last name, and a phone number. This I think this is the basic thing, the basic things you want to store about your contacts. Okay, so it's usually what is required inside Google, the Google Contact application too. So let's make the request. A few seconds, so you can see we get the status is 200 and it's okay, and we get an object back that says our contact has been created, and this is the details. Okay, so now we have it. Now let's go ahead. Let's continue. So we are going to make another request to create an account, another contact again, but in this time it is going to fail because it is lacking one required thing, which is the country code. So let's send the request. So you can see how the errors is showing. Okay, so I'll change this thing. The status is supposed to be 400, which is a bad request. But in the meantime, let's focus on the error, the response that is being returned. You see, we get the dictionary here, and it tells us the key is the field that needs to be provided, and it gives us a good message telling us that the country code is a required field. So the developer or the front end guy using our application will be able to know where specifically the error is coming from. So I hope you following with me. Okay, so let's continue. So we are going to update the contact that we just created. Okay, before we go ahead, I would like to make just one request here before we continue. I just need one thing. Okay, so let's continue. Sorry about that, guys. So here you are going to make an endpoint. You are going to make a request, a post request to the endpoint, the local host endpoint, but this time we need the ID of the user that we want to change. Okay, this time around it is 7. That is the user that we just created, and the fields that we want to update. So this one is not a patch. It's not a patch. It doesn't work like a patch system. The patch method. It's like some sort of a put system. So you have to update everything. So if you are updating just the first name in our case, you have to pass all the other fields to in addition to it. Okay, or else you get that error that we got inside the create contact field request. Okay, so now let's make a request to the endpoint. Few seconds. Okay, so seems you have an error. I think I know where this error is coming from. Django requires that we append the ending slash. So let's make the request again. Sorry about that, guys. So you can see that we have updated our contact now, and instead of it being K, it's now K. You get it? Okay. So the last thing that I want, the last but one, sorry, is that I want us to update. I want us to delete the contact that we created. So here it's supposed to be 7, and then slash. Don't forget the ending slash. It's required inside Django, or else you have to set ending slash false inside your settings.py file. So now let's make the request to delete this this contact. Okay, so you can see now you have a detail 200. It usually should be 204. The correct status code will be used in the video that the code that will be used for the video. Okay, so don't worry about that. So you can see we get the detail saying that contact successfully deleted. Okay, so let's search for 8. Let's try deleting 8, which does not exist, a contact 8. You are going to get a nice error telling us that that contact does not exist. Okay, so you can see you get a 400 back, and the detail is that this contact does not exist. All right, and the last one is the search contact field. Okay, let's search contact request. Sorry. Okay, so we are going to search through our contacts and find out any user that has the name or the first name starting with K. Okay, so usually when you have your phones and you want to reach out to a contact, maybe you might not know the full name, so you just start with the first letter of their name that comes to head, then you hit your search. So it's something of that sort. You can use a full word or you can use a single letter, so it's going to use the filter to get out that particular user that have K or that word that you provided inside their name. All right, let's send a request. Okay, so you see it returns us the search matches, and this is the name. So the only name that matches with that has K in its first name is Kwame. Yeah, and the search length is just 1 because they just returned 1 object. All right, okay, so guys, this is basically what you are going to build. So without much talk, let's jump into our code. Okay guys, so before we continue with the project or we jump into the project, I wanted to make a side step and tell you that the code for the project can be found at this GitHub repository. I'm going to leave the link to the repository inside the description below the video, so you can check it out and get all the code. You can compare it to the ones in the video so that you can follow along effectively. Okay, so I also want to thank all my subscribers for subscribing to the channel. I am really grateful, and I thank you for giving me the motivation to come up with the weekly videos. Those who give me suggestions on which tutorials I should work on, keep bringing it up. I'm working on the one that was suggested some weeks ago, so keep suggesting it inside the comment section below. I'll work on it, record it, and then record the video and put it on YouTube so that we all learn together. Okay, so if you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, this is a good opportunity for you to subscribe. I really cherish your subscription, so please click on that red button there for me and turn on the notification so that when I release the video, you'll be able to get it. Okay, so without any long talk, let's jump into the video, or let's jump into the project. Okay guys, so when you clone the repo from the repo that I just talked about, or the project from GitHub, you are going to get this starter project here. So this starter project was generated with the Django admin. So I generated a Django admin start project, then I gave it the name. Then when I was done, I added a new app to it with Python manage.py API. That's the name of my app. Then the changes that I made to the settings.py file is that I added the REST framework package to our installed app, and I added the app that I created over here to also the installed app. Then when you go down, it seems that's all the changes that I made. Yeah, I think so. That's all the changes that I made inside the settings.py file. These two changes, adding the REST framework package and the API app. Then inside the urls.py file, inside the main urls.py file, I extended the URLs so that it includes the URLs file from the API app. Okay, so this is it. It's this include line here, this path line. So it's using the root route. Okay, so inside the APIs app, I created a new file that is called urls.py. Then in it, this normal setup, I imported because I'm going to use path, so I just imported it, and it's supposed to have the URLs pattern, and it's supposed to be a list. Okay, at least an empty list for the meantime. Okay, so that is just the only setting that I've made, or the only change that I've made to the file that I generated with the Django admin. Okay, and the management file. All right. Okay guys, so let's continue. So I'm going to close down these files here. We are not going to use them. So okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the models.py file located inside the API app. So the first thing that we need is a custom user. We are creating a custom user because one, we don't want to use Django's default authentication process. Usually Django's default authentication process uses the username and password, but with our app, it is not secure to use a username, or it's not advisable to use a username. So to use something distinct like an email is the preferred way. So we are going to use email and password to log in. So for us to use that, we can't use the base user. We can't use the abstract user, but you need to use the abstract base user. That gives us the simplest user, so that we can build from it or build on top of it. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So we are going to create our own custom user with that inherits from the abstract base user. Okay, so let's clear this thing off, this comment. Sorry, get it off. So first let's import some stuff. So from Django .contrib .models import abstract base user, and you're also going to import the permission mixin. Okay, so this is it. So we are going to call our class custom user, and it is going to custom, if I can spell custom well, custom user. Oh, what am I doing? I guess I need to take some spelling classes. Okay, custom user like this. All right, so it's going to inherit from the abstract base user, sorry guys. Then also the permission mixin. So it has to be the abstract user first before the permissions mixin. Okay, or else it won't work. Then the fields that we need is the email, which is going to be a models.email field. And we are going to pass unique equals true, and we are going to give it a max length because it inherits from the char field. Max length supposed to be 225. all right. Then the next thing that we need is in the one I created before, the one I used for the preview, I used first name and last name, but I recently learned that first name and last name is not an internationalized way of getting. It does not conform to all standards because not everyone has first name and last name. That's what I read on the internet, but it's more advisable to use a full name. Okay, so that's what you are going to use. So models.child, sorry, it's supposed to be models. I'm going to pass in max length equals to 225. Okay, then we are going to pass, the next field is going to be date joined. That is also going to be a models.date field, and we are going to pass the auto now add true, so that when the user is created, it populates this field over here. Okay, but it does not change. It's when the user object is updated. Okay, so the next thing that we need is a staff. Oh, what am I doing today? What is this? Okay, so a staff is going to be a models dot boolean field, and you are going to set the default as false. Default as false. It has some rhyme in there. Then the next thing that you are going to do is you are going to add a contact here. So the contact is going to be the user's contacts, the contact that the user has. Okay, so it's going to be a models dot many to many field. So because the user can have many contacts. Okay, so because the contact has not yet been created, you are going to use a string representation for it. The contact model hasn't yet been created. Okay, that's why you are using the string representation for it. Then the next thing that we need is objects. So the object manager is going to be user manager. Okay, so you see user manager hasn't been created, so we'll be creating it very soon. So let's just ignore that squiggly line over there. So the next thing that we need is the username field. Which is going to be our email field here. And it has to be unique true, or else it won't work. The username field has to have the unique property as true. Okay, then required fields. Required fields is going to be an empty. Yes, we don't need any required. This maybe you might want to make the full name a required field when a user is being created, but in my case I don't think it's needed for the meantime. Then let's add some class methods. Sorry, meta, it has to be capital. Class method. Then let's add a verbose name as user, and a verbose name plural as users. Something like this. I think that's it. Verbose name plural, that's it. Okay, So the next thing that we need to create is the user manager. So let's go up. Okay, so for us to create the user manager, first you have to import the base user. Hey, I said base user, base manager. Sorry guys, base user manager. Okay, is it? That's why it's good to use VS Code. So for us to speed up things, I'm going to paste in the code for the user manager, so that. But I'm going to walk you through it, okay? So don't fear, it's not that much. So this is it, the user manager, and it is inheriting from the base user manager that we just imported. And here we create a method here that is underscore create user. So the underscore create user is what is going to create and save the user with a given email and password, okay? So first it checks whether there is an email. If there is no email, it raises a validation error that the given email must be set, okay? Or the given email field, sorry for my English, has to be set, okay? And it's when there's an email present, then it's going to pass this place, then it normalizes the email, okay? It normalizes the email field or the email value that was provided. Then it's save it to the model, or it creates a model instance of it using the self.model and passes in the email and the extra fields, like if there's we provided the full name and the other stuff, okay? It passes it to it. Then when it gets down here, it uses the Django advised way of storing password using the set password. So on the user object that has been created or initialized, it sets the password that is going to hash it. Then it stores it to the database, okay, using the self.db, using self.db, okay. When you are done, it has another create user here. So the create user here is what is going to be called to create a normal user. So a normal user is going to have the is super user false, so that they can't have access to the Django admin, and the staff too is going to be set to false, so that they don't have access to the Django admin too, okay? Then it calls this one here, this method here, and it returns it's the user if the required fields has been provided. Then when you go down here, the create user, create super user, this is the method that is called to create a super user, okay? So it's going to set the super user true, staff true, then it checks some validation over here, then it returns the method here, the underscore create, which is going to return as a user if all the necessary fields has been provided, which is the email and the password. All right, so that is all for the base user manager. So this is the code for it. You can pause it and type it in quickly, okay? So this is it. It's not that much. It's very this simple code, okay? So now let's continue. So the next thing that we want to do is, okay, so the next thing that we want to work on is the contact model, okay? So let's start class contact. Then it's going to inherit from the model, model. Let me leave another extra line here, okay? Then it's going to have the field country code, and we are going to use the models.char field, max length. So the max length with the char field, I learned from a comment that was made on one of my previous videos that the max length is not supposed to exceed 225. So that was the first time I was actually getting to know about such a thing. So it was very quite insightful. But I also, through my research, I also find out that the max length is dependent on the database that you are using. So let's say you are using a Postgres database, the max length can be higher than 225. So it's very helpful. So if you have any issue with the code that I provide in the video, please feel free to leave a comment inside the comment section. I go through all the comments, so I'll be glad to also learn from you. Okay, so apart from the country code, we are going to get the full name, then we are going to use the models.char field. So, and it's also going to have a max length of 225. I usually like to use the largest value, that is the largest value possible, so that no matter how long your name is, it can fit inside there. And phone number. Oh, not Nanda, number. So it's going to be a models.char field. Sorry, models.char field. So it's going to have a max length of 10. I don't think any phone number is going to pass the length of 10. I don't know what number that can be. If it's longer than the length of phone number is longer than 10 in your country, please comment about it in your comment section. Okay, let me learn from you too. And you are going to add an is favorite field. That is going to be a models.char field. Hey, no, not char field, sorry guys. Models, if I can spell, models.boolean field. I'm going to set a default for it. So by default, they are not my favorites. Then the last thing that you are going to add is a custom ID. So this is an idea that just came up yesterday night, so I'm just going to add it. And so that's what you are going to use to search for our user. Okay, instead of using the normal database ID. Okay, so you are going to see how you implement it. So models.integer field, not just integer, positive integer field. Okay, like this. All right, so let me leave another extra space and let me save it. Okay, so because you are using a custom user model, we are supposed to specify it inside our settings.py file. So let's grab the name. The name is what? Custom user, right? So let's go to our settings.py file, and beneath at the last part, let's move down. We are going to add another variable called the auth user model. That is going to be called to API. That is the app that has the user in it, dot the user model's name. Okay, in our case it's the user, a custom user. So you don't have to specify .model because it knows automatically it's going to be in the models. So the app and the custom user model table. Okay, so let's save it. Now we can go and run migrations and let's see if you are not going to get any error. Okay. Okay, so first you are going to run python manage.py make migrations. Oh no, make migrations. Oh, what am I spelling today? Make migrations. Let's hit enter. Few seconds. Oh, I spelled it wrongly. I think it's, I have to spell it again. Sorry guys, let me do this quickly. Okay, python manage.py make migrations. Okay, so our migrations has been made, so now we can migrate. Python manage.py migrate. Okay, so our migrations has been done. So one thing that I want us to create is I'm going to create a super user. That's what we are going to use as our user. Python manage.py create super user. As usual, the admin is going to, the password is, the email is going to be admin@admin.com, and the password is going to be admin. And let's use yes. Bypass for the meantime. Okay, successfully created. So let's run our server. Python manage.py run server. Okay, and now let's continue with the jazz. All right, so let's close down these two files. Okay guys, so let's jump into the views. Let's start writing some views. Okay, so first you're going to start with our first view is going to be the view that returns to us all the contacts of a user. So first you are going to import the API view from REST framework. So from REST framework work.views import API view. Okay, then we are going to create a class called contact class, a contact view, sorry, and it is going to inherit from the API view. Let's take off this comment here. It's annoying me. It annoys me. Okay, so now you have taken that off. So the first thing that we want to do is that we don't want anyone to have access to this view. We want you to be logged in before you can have access to this login, to this view. So it's going to be is authenticated. It's authenticated, so you have to import in is authenticated from REST framework permissions. So REST framework, so from REST framework dot permissions import is authenticated. Oh, if I sorry guys, sorry, it's authenticated. It seems I even spelled the REST framework wrong, so getting that squiggly lines. It's authenticated. Okay, like this. Okay, so now we have permissions on the view. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to define a get method. So it's going to take in self, then take in request, then takes in args and quarks, like this. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you hit this endpoint is that you want to know which user is it. So you are going to get that from request.user. So there is no way that you can come to this endpoint without hitting this endpoint without us not getting the user, because if there is no user or if there is no authentication provided, you are going to get a 401 status code that says it needs authentication is required for this endpoint to be used. Okay, so from that you are going to get the contact that are stored on this user, or that this user has stored. Okay, so it's going to be user dot, which is this user over here, user dot contact dot values. So this is going to give us a dictionary of the values of the contacts, or the contacts that the user has stored. Oh, sorry, they're supposed to be equals to. Sorry. All right. So here is going to return onto us some a list of dictionaries. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is then return a JSON response. So return a JSON response. Okay, so I'm going to hit the, you see JSON response has been imported for me from Django HTTP responses. So we are going to pass in a dictionary. Okay, and it's going to be contact, and this thing here is going to return onto us a query dictionary, query object. So we have to convert into a list. Okay, so we're going to use the list and convert contact. All right, like this. All right, so we are done with our first endpoint. So, or the get method. So the next thing I want to do is work on the post endpoint. That is the endpoint that will be used to create the user. Okay, so let's do that together, then we test both together. Okay, so def post, we are going to pass in same thing, same argument, self, request, and we have args and quirks. Guys, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's all fun here, it's all project building, and if you like the videos that I'm doing, please hit the like button, comment in the comment section below. You can share to your friends so that they all get into contact with my it's my materials. It really helps. Okay, please try and help me. Okay, then the first thing that we want to do is get the data that has been posted to the endpoint. So you see, we are working with post here, so you can get that from request.data. So if it was a normal Django application, you do request.post, but since it's a REST framework, we are using request.data. Okay, all right. So the next thing that we are going to do, we are going to run a try except block. Oh, sorry guys, sorry. I wanted to use that shortcut. Let's use this one. Okay, that way. Okay. All right. Now you can skip some things. Let's come here. So the first thing that we are going to do is that we are going to get some values. Some values from the data. So it's going to be country code. Those ones are the required fields. Let me send this thing up a little bit. Sorry, too much. Okay, so you are going to get that from the data that we just received here. So data, and you are going to index and get out country code. Oh no, if I can spell code well. Then the next thing that we need is the full name. That's also going to be gotten from full name. Okay, the next thing that we need is the phone number. Okay, phone number. That is also going to be equal to data. Data. We index it and get our phone number out. Right. So here I want us to get to the user as we did for the top part. So user is going to be request.user. Dot doesn't want to come. Dot here. All right, request.user. All right, so now we have these three things that are required. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to generate our own custom user, or our own custom ID. So custom ID, that is the idea that I said I just got yesterday night. So it's going to be all the length of the users, the length of contacts this particular user has stored +1. Okay, you see how it's going to be helpful instead of using the normal ID that was added by the model itself. Okay, so it's going to be some len. This is how you are going to do it. So you're going to use len.contact, len bracket user.contact. Or okay, so this is going to give us a list. Then it's going to get the length of the list. Then we add +1. Okay, so now we can go ahead and create our new contact. That is also going to be equals to the contact object. So we need to import that one in. So I hit tab so that it import it in for me. So you can see it has been imported. Where is it? Where's my contact? Okay, so you can see it has been imported in for me. Here, there's it. All right. So we are going to call the object manager. Then we are going to create. Sorry, not created. Create. We are going to pass in some values. So we are going to pass in full name. as equal to full name. I hope you're following me. Then the next thing you're going to pass is the country code. Country code that is also going to be equal to the country code. What was I thinking about this? And the last thing, the last but one, sorry, is the phone number. It's also going to be equal to the phone number. And the last one is the custom ID. It's also going to be equal to custom ID. Yeah, all right. This is it. So this here is going to create to us a new contact, okay, and it's going to save it to the database. But we are storing that contact instance inside this variable so that we can make other changes to it, okay. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to check that if there's an isFavorite key inside the data that was provided here. If it is present, then we want to make some changes to the new contact that we created. So if data dot get isFavorite. So we are using this method because if you use this method and the isFavorite does not exist, it is going to throw a key error. But in this instance, these three here are required. So if they are not present, we have to throw a key error, okay. But in this case, if it is not a required field, we have to use this approach, the get. So if it does not exist, it is going to return a none, and in Python, none is falsy, okay. So if it is present, you want to change new contact dot isFavorite to the isFavorite that was provided, okay. So this time around we can use the key, the indexing method. That way we know it exists, that key exists, so we can't get any error. isFavorite like this, okay. Then the last thing that we need to do is save it. Save our, sorry, you have to type a new contact dot save. Right, and we have to add the new contact that you have created to the list of user on the list of contacts for our user, okay. So our user is user, and we are going to call the contact. This is a many-to-many field, so for us to add to it, you have to call the add method, then pass in the instance that you want to add, which is the new contact. All right, I hope you're following me, guys. All right, let's continue. So you have to return something. You're going to return another Json response. Okay, so let's pass in a dictionary, and inside the dictionary you're going to have full name. No, okay, it's okay. Full name is going to be the new contact dot full name. The next thing that we need is the custom ID. Oh no, custom ID. Custom ID. And it's also going to be the new contact. dot custom id. All right. The next thing that we need is the country code. It's also going to be the new what am I spelling today? Contact dot country code. And the final one is the phone number. Sorry, has to be new contact dot phone number. All right, like this. Okay, so this is the data that we are going to send to the front end, but we want to adjust the status code of the response. So by default, Json response return a status code of 200, but in this case you want to return a status code of 201, which is successfully created. Say, so we are going to pass a key here or an argument here as 201. That's the status code. Okay, so this is it. So if you don't have any error, this is what you are going to return. But in case you have an error, so the possible error that we can get is a key error that the user didn't provide some necessary field, so you have to return key error, except a key error as E. Okay, and we are going to construct a nice error message, and it's going to be, we are using an F string. Let's pass in E. So we are going to get the field that we had the error from. Okay, so for us to get to the field that caused the error, or that was not provided, that caused the error, we need to use e.ax, which is going to return to us a tuple. So we just need the first argument inside the tuple. Okay, so it's a required field, right? Then we have to return some JSON response, and inside the JSON response, the key is going to be the field that was not provided. So for us to get a field the same way, it's going to be ax and the first argument. Then we are going to pass a list that has error message. Beautiful. That is it. That is all. Okay, and you have to change the status code too, because it is not 200, it is 400. So status code, the status is going to be equals to 400, which is a bad request. All right, so let's save it. All right, let's save this and let's go to our urls, the py file. Inside our urls, the py file, you are going to import our view that we just created. So from .view from dot views import contact API view, or you didn't call it that way. Let me check it. It was called contact view. Okay, it's contact view. Contact view like this. Let's pass it as a path. Yeah, and it's going to use the route. Then we're going to pass it here, contact view. And since it is a class-based what? Class-based view, you have to call as view on it. That's view method. Alright. Let's run in. Alright, let's save this. Okay, so now we have this endpoint. So let's go back to our Tender client again. Then we are going to use the same collection that we used in the preview to test this endpoint again. So let's go to the get all contacts request. Let's give it some seconds. Okay, so we are using the same authentication credentials, the same thing, the ones we just created now, so don't worry. So let's make a request to the endpoint. Let's see if we are going to get any errors. Boom, and it's worked because we don't have any contact. Okay, so let's make a post request to the endpoint. Oh, sorry, let's use the create contact. Okay, but inside the body we have to make some slight change. In our case, you are not using this one, you are not using what's the name, first name and last name, you are just using full name. Sorry, full name. Let's call, what should we call it? John Doe, the popular John Doe. Alright, then I think that's the required fields. Okay, so now let's make a request to the endpoint and let's see if it's going to work. Okay, so you see it worked. All right, so you have the full name, you have 201. You can see now you get the correct status code 201 created. You have our endpoint here. So let's go back to get all contacts again and see whether we are going to get our contacts. Get all contacts. Okay, let's make another request. First it was empty, now few seconds, boom, our endpoint is working. All right, so we are done with that part. So let's go to the part that is going to update our endpoint. Okay, so let's jump into our views and move down to the last part. Another space. Oh, sorry. Oopsie. Okay, let's continue. Okay guys, so let's continue. So the class is going to be class contact update view. Update view. It's also going to inherit from the API view. Alright, so as usual we are going to set our permission classes so that it's only authenticated users that can have access to this endpoint. Oh, sorry, equals to this authenticated. All right, Then the next thing that we are going to, so for the updating, we are going to use the post method. So it's going to be self, we're taking self request, and when it takes in args and quarks, right? Then the first thing that we want to get is the data that has been posted. So request dot data. The second thing that we need is the user. So request dot user. Okay. So now we're going to run a try except block. I'm going to run a try here. And inside the try, we are going to get the contact that they want us to, that needs to be updated. Okay, so it's going to, we are going to store it inside the variable contact. So user, so we get the contact that has been stored on our user. Then we want to filter through the contact using the custom ID. The custom ID, so this is where the custom ID comes into use. Then we are going to use the quarks. So inside the parameter, we are going to pass a custom ID inside it. So you will see how it's going to be implemented very soon. So custom ID, all right, like this. Also, no, sorry, it's supposed to be quarks. Quark. Okay, like this. So the quarks is going to be a dictionary, so we can index out the custom ID. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to check if this thing here is an empty list. If it's an empty list, then it means the contact does not exist. Okay, sorry. Contact. If contact, if not contact, that means if it is an empty list, it's going to be none. So this negates it, turns it into true. We are going to raise an error. Oh, sorry. If not contact, raise a contact does not exist. Like this. Okay. So if the contact has at least a single contact in it, then we want to get that particular contact. We want to, oh, sorry, we want to reassign it to itself again, but this time around we are getting the first object, or the first contact inside it. So this one is going to return a list, but we want to just get to the first item. Usually it's going to return just one item, but it's because the list, we just want to get the first item out. Okay, so now we are going to destructure our data here, and get out the country code, the full name, and the phone number. Okay, so to speed up things, let me go and copy this thing quickly. Let me copy this here. Let's go and use it down there. Okay, so now you have this. Yeah, we have our data. We have collected our data from the data that has been brought in. So now you want to change some things on our user, make some changes on our contact. So our contact, oh no, contact dot country code, country code is going to be equals to our new country code here. And our contact dot full name is going to be equals to full name here, and contact dot phone number. So contact dot phone number. Going to be equal to our phone number. All right. So now we have this thing here. So we want to check whether its favorite has been changed. That's something that is very likely to be changed. So if data dot get its favorite then we want to set our contact. Oh, really? Sorry. Set our contact dot its favorite equals to data dot its favorite all right. Then the final thing that we want to do, for us to persist the changes to the database, we have to call contact dot save. All right. Then you have to return some responses to our you have to return some JSON response. So we are going to copy this one. Let's use something like this. So let's copy it with this one. So I'll explain it. Let's copy this one. Go down. Let's speed up things a little bit. Okay. So we are returning. So let's change these things here. Control D, Control D, Control D. Change this to contact. All right. So there shouldn't be any error again. So we are returning a JSON response with the details of the newly updated contact. Okay, so the full name, the contact ID, the country, and the country code, and the phone number. And with the try block here, we have an exception over here that is doing the same thing as for the normal creating, just as when you are creating a contact, it checks whether there's a key error. If there's a key error, then it sends a required field message with the field that is missing. Okay, and we want to check another exception, that if the contact does not exist, the contact that you are trying to update does not exist, then you have to handle it nicely. Except contact does not does not exist. Then you are going to return an HTTP response bad request. Okay, response bad request. So you need to import this just like the JSON response. They are from the same place. So since mine has been imported in from, you can see it over here. So let's continue. So you have to pass in this contact does not exist. Except you are going to have an overall catch that is going to return an HTTP bad. So HTTP response bad request. You send an instance of it. So in case of any other error, we are sending a bad request. It's a bad request. Okay. So let's save it, and now let's add the delete endpoint right now, so that then we go ahead and go and test it. So I'm going to have a dev delete. It's going to take in, what's all this mistake coming from? Delete. I'm going to take in self as usual, taking request, taking ask, ask and quacks. Then, oh, where did this go? Okay, sorry. So you are going to get to the ID. You are going to call it. You are going to get from the quacks custom ID. Custom ID. Then you are going to try. Use our try again. Try. First, get our user. Oh, you should have. Anyway, it's cool. You can get our user from the request dot user. Then we get the contact. We are going to filter and see whether we get any contact out, just like how we did for the post. So no, sorry, user dot contact dot filter. Going to do the same thing, filter with the custom ID equals to ID. All right, so if there's no contact, if not contact, then you want to raise a contact. Why am I getting these errors? Oh, my keyboard is not cooperating with me at all. What's this? If not contact, then you want to raise a contact does not exist. Okay, so if it exists, we want to delete it. That's the sole purpose of it, the process. So dot delete. Sorry guys. Okay, so this is it. This is going to delete it. We are going to return a JSON response. JSON response that has a key of detail. And the contact, the value is going to be contact successfully deleted. And they're going to add a status of 204. All right, so this is it. So we are going to catch some exceptions. Okay, so the first exception that you want to catch is that does not exist. If the if the contact does not exist, I think I'm getting tired. I have to take a break. Does not exist. Okay, so if it does not exist, you want to return an HTTP response bad request, and inside it the same message, this contact does not exist. Apart from that, any other error should be handled with a normal 400 the HTTP bad request. So HTTP response bad request. Let's send an instance of it, and now you can save it. All right, so this is it. The view for updating and deleting users has been completed. Okay, so let's go and add it to our URLs. So we have contact. Let's import it. Contact update view. Did I call it that way? I think that's how it was called. Contact update view. Yeah, that's it. So it's going to be patch a path and it's going to take in a string. So let's say slash, no, sorry, going to take in a string, and here is where the custom ID comes in. Here it's not going to be a string, sorry, it's supposed to be an integer. So int here. Let's close it off. Pass our end and slash, then let's use the view. So contact update dot view dot as view. You see the rhyme. Contact updates view dot as view. There's a rhyme there. So let's save it. Let's see whether our server is still alive. Okay, our server is still alive, so we can go and test it out. So we have our contact updates over here ready, so but we are going to copy some stuff from here. Okay guys, so I just copied the data from here, so we are going to use it inside our updates, the update endpoint. So let's go to our body. So let's paste it over here. Let's change the name from John Doe to Dev, and let's add his favorite. To true. Okay, so you see you're coming to post to an endpoint 7. It does not exist, so let's see the error that you're going to get. Let's post. Okay, so you see we get a 400 bad request, and this contact does not exist in the detail. Okay, so let's post to the custom ID 1. Let's try changing it. Let's send a request. Sorry. Okay, a few seconds. Okay, so you see 201, then we get our object here, get the full name, so it has been changed, the custom ID and other stuff. So you can see the update is working. All right, so I want us to create one dummy user right now quickly. Sorry, not get or create a contact again. Let's go to the body, Json. Oh no, this is the get one. Sorry, create a contact. Go to the body and change the name to dummy user. Let's post. So we will be deleting dummy user instead. Okay, so dummy user has been created, so let's go to the delete endpoint. Okay, so let's try deleting this user, that user with a custom ID 8 which does not exist, and see whether what you are going to get. Few seconds. Wow, we have an internal server error. Let me look at what is causing the internal server error. It says we are supposed to return something, blah 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 blah, and I think I know why. Let's close this thing down. Instead of us returning, then we just called them. Okay, so you are supposed to return this, also return this. Okay. Oh no, not return. Okay, so return this. Yes, so let's save it. Then let's go back to our client. Let's make another request again. Okay, so you can see that you get a 401. I don't know why we didn't get the first one, because this does not exist. Oh, see, I spelled it wrong. It's supposed to be exist. I said I'm tired, it's true. Okay, but don't worry, you have to finish this recording so that I can upload it for you guys. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's go. Okay, so you can see now it came true. Let's try deleting 2 which exists. Custom ID 2. Okay, so you can see 204, no content, then contact successfully deleted. Okay, so you can go to get all contact endpoint again and try getting all the users the users contact, getting all the users contact, and see whether we are going to get the 2 still in it. Okay, so it's not in it, so we just have this one, Ultra Dev John Doe. I don't know who is that. Okay, so let's finish up. We have just one last view done, the view that is used to search through the contacts. Okay, so we are going to call that one class contact search view. We're going to inherit from the API view as usual. Permission classes. Permission class is going to be it's authenticated. Sorry, not a string. Authenticated. Then we are going to use a get request. So it's going to take in self, taking request, taking args and quarks. Okay, so first thing we are going to get is our user. Get our user as usual. Query.user. Scroll up a little bit. Then we are going to get our contact list. The contact list that meets the search word or the search term. Okay, so first is going to be equal to a list, because you are going to get a query list. So we have to convert into a list so that we can send it through as JSON through the JSON response. Okay, so user dot contact dot filter It's supposed to be contacts. Okay, then we want to filter with the full name, but we want to add a modifier to it. So double underscore contains the search argument or the search where that was passed. So it's going to be quarks the full name. Quarks, we're going to index the full name out of it. That's going to be the search parameter for the meantime. Then we want to get the dot values out of it. Okay, dot values, so I will be able to get values, the values of the model instances. Okay, so when you are done, you want to return a JSON response. It's going to have the key search matches. Then it's going to be contact over here. Contacts. Then we want to add another key called search length. That is also going to be the length, the number of objects that are inside this list. So you're going to use the len parameter on contact, like this. Okay, so this is it. So let's save it. This is just a simple view. Let's save it. Then let's move to the urls.py file and add it to it. So let's import it first. So contact search view. So here you are going to pass slash search. Oh no, sorry. Search. What is this spelling? Search, and you are going to take in a string here. Going to be full name. Full name here, and let's end it. Right. Then I'm going to use the view contact search view dot as view. Let's save it. Okay, then let's go and give it a try. Okay, so we are going to use this request here. So this is what I prepared earlier on, so we are going to use that. So you can see this is the endpoint, but the parameter that we are using to search for is key, just key. So let's hit the endpoint and see whether you are going to get something from it. So let's go for a search. We have an error. It says not found. Wow. Why is it not found? /search/full name. Wow. I think I missed something out. Let's put an endpoint here. Why? Where is this error coming from? Or didn't I spell the search well? Oh, okay, sorry. It's not supposed to start with this slash. That's why we are getting there. Okay, so our server is now fully recovered. It has fully recovered. So let's go and make the request again. Okay, let's shut down this terminal. Let's make the request. Okay, so there are no matches. Let's search. Let's try D. Let's search dev. Something like dev. No matches. Wow, that's strange. Let's see, Archer. No, not Archer. Okay, so you see we have a match. Okay, we didn't spell the dev well, that's why I didn't get any useful help from that. So, but when we use Arch, you see it's in Arch. So the Arch came, the Arch dev. We didn't spell the dev well, that's why I didn't come. So this is the endpoint. I think this is the final endpoint that we have for this tutorial. Maybe when I'm building the front end, we'll be adding one or two views and routes in to meet the requirements. But for the meantime, this is it, a clone of Google Contacts API. So you can build upon this. You can use it to build your own sort of cataloging system for your contacts, or you can use it as your backend for a mobile application or something. You can just build upon this. So guys, if you want to support me, please click on the like button over there. You can share to your friends. You can please subscribe to the channel. That is very essential. Okay, so you can please turn on that bell over there. Just click on it for me, okay, so that you get notified whenever I release the videos. Okay, so without much to say, see you in my next tutorial. Okay, bye.